Hi friends, here we are, week 3 on our reading retreat, and I'm delighted that you're still hanging there in there with me. Steve Macchia here, back in my home. I'm in one of 2 remaining rooms in our house that still have wallpaper. And I'm here because I want you to see, maybe you can see, right behind this pane here, there's still buckling of this wallpaper. We never were able to tear it down and pull it back on because it's such old wallpaper. But it is the result of those ice dams that I told you about earlier in this chapter. Those ice dams do horrible, messy work in a house. When the snow is accumulating and getting deeper and deeper, as I talked about in this chapter, hint, hint, and then ice dams occur in the roof line outside, and because the inside is so warm, the outside is so cold, and there's leakage that comes in, it does things like wreck wallpaper. Well, this ruined wallpaper behind this door is still here and reminds us that, that during that Snowmageddon winter, we had those issues in our home. So I'm standing here in that part of my house for this particular video as we talk about prayerful listening, attentiveness, and the deeper life, which is not one of accumulation, it's one of humility. It's one of depth. It's what grows underneath the surface of our lives and our souls. So this chapter at the end, we talk about some practices that matter for our prayer closet. And I just want to emphasize a few of them because the first one that I say is solitude, silence, slowness, and stillness. Those 4 S words are so important. They're in essence what makes for a deeper life. When we can slow down, when we can listen, when we can be attentive, when we can become more prayerful and listening to the voice of God in our prayer closets. And friends, I hope you have a prayer closet. If you don't, please set one up. Could be in your home, your office, your car, someplace where you can just be alone and quiet, slow life down, and experience stillness. Stillness. When's the last time you experienced a good dose of stillness? And when you're there, when you're quiet, when you're alone with God, open the scriptures, because that's the second discipline, is to let the biblical text come alive. And I talk about Lectio Divina, the reflective way of being with God in the scriptures. And then we talk about prayer, particularly listening prayer, attentive prayer, not doing all the talking in our prayers, but actually doing more listening than speaking in our prayer closets. And then I talk about reflection, particularly the reflective discipline of examine. Pay attention to the importance of examine, because examine is a way in which we can every day pay attention to the invitation, the noticings of God, his presence, his power, the way in which he delights to work in us and through us. And we're noticing that. We're paying attention to our feelings, our affect. And then we're pledging a renewed commitment to God the next day, the next hour, the next year, as we're seeking to live more fruitfully and faithfully and obediently before God. And then I end the chapter talking about Sabbath rest. Without Sabbath, there is no depth. If you're a Sabbath breaker, I want to encourage you to be a Sabbath keeper. Because by keeping Sabbath, by keeping it holy, we are setting apart not just a day, but moments throughout our everyday that are more Sabbath-like in its feel. So this chapter is about listening to God in prayerfulness. And at the end of the chapter, where I talk about some of the practices, I'm talking about the Lord's Prayer. If I can make it there, sorry. Talk about the Lord's Prayer, which we talked about in this chapter. What phrase seems to be popping off the page of that prayer for you and why? Your prayer closet, which is what I just talked about, the importance of having a place and a set apart time to pray. Set that prayer closet up, friends, because that matters to the discerning life. It's like foundational to a life of discernment. And then stillness, which I've already covered. Practice stillness. be alone, be quiet, be still, and know that he is God. I'll see you next time.